dawn, Kathmandu stirs awake. The streets are crowded with vendors, the smell of tea drifting through alleys, and buses packed tighter than ever. Among the faces in the crowd is the silent struggle of thousands. Young men and women searching for jobs that no longer exist. An unemployed man rises before sunrise carrying his worn resume from one office to another. He waits in long queues only to hear the same answer. We are not hiring. By noon, he finds a corner cafe, hoping at least to connect with friends online. But the screen stays blank. The familiar icons of Facebook, X, and YouTube no longer load.
And Nepal has cracked down on a number of social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Reddit, WhatsApp, and Snapchat.
The government's new decree has silenced the platforms where laughter, anger, and rebellion once lived. For a generation raised in the age of instant communication, the silence feels suffocating. In villages, the story repeats. Farmers' sons dream of working abroad, only to be trapped in endless paperwork. Students with degrees in hand cannot find jobs to match their education. And everywhere, the frustration grows. A generation brimming with energy, but locked out of opportunity. The government calls it necessary regulation. Officials say social media companies must register or be banned. But the people see it differently, as an attack on freedom of speech, a deliberate attempt to muzzle criticism and bury corruption. At first, the protests are small. A group of students gather in Kathmandu's central square, holding handwritten signs. Their chants echo softly between the narrow streets. Police watch, their expressions stern but patient. It feels like nothing more than another restless afternoon in the capital. But then the frustration spreads. Across universities, in tea shops, at construction sites, the same question burns. How long will we remain silent? The unemployed man who once walked alone now finds himself surrounded by hundreds. The crowd swells, voices blending into a single roar. Drums beat against the air, banners rise and chants thunder. End corruption! Give us freedom! The government responds with tear gas. The calm morning turns into chaos. Streets once filled with vendors now drown in smoke and panic. Young men throw stones, police raise shields, and the city that woke to routine now shakes with fury. News of the clashes spreads, not through banned apps, but through whispered calls and underground networks. Videos recorded on hidden phones are shared through VPNs, slipping past government firewalls. Each clip fuels the fire. Each story of brutality pulls more youth into the streets. What began as isolated anger has become a storm. This is no longer just about social media. It is about betrayal. Decades of corruption, broken promises, and leaders who put their families first while the nation starves for hope. And as night falls, the streets do not sleep. The chants continue under the dim glow of streetlights, a chorus of defiance. Nepal is no longer quiet. Its youth have awakened, and their fury is only beginning to erupt. The second day arrives with a heavy silence, not of peace, but of anticipation. Kathmandu's streets lie littered with the remains of yesterday's chaos. Broken stones, shattered glass, the faint smell of tear gas clinging to the air. Shops remain shuttered, buses abandoned, yet the people do not stay home. They pour back into the squares, their anger stronger than their fear. An unemployed man stands at the edge of the protest, clutching nothing but a bottle of water. He watches as students climb onto barricades, shouting slogans that rise like thunder. We are the future! We will not be silenced! For the first time, he feels he is not invisible. His struggle, his hunger, his hopeless search for dignity, all of it now has a voice in the swelling crowd. The government calls for calm, but its actions betray panic.
I would call for peace for the souls lost.
Armored vehicles roll into the capital. Police lines grow tighter. A curfew is declared, but no one obeys. Each order sparks more defiance. Each crackdown bursts new resistance. Then the violence explodes. Rubber bullets slice through the air, and young men fall screaming onto the pavement. The protesters respond with fire, tires burning, smoke rising like black banners of rebellion. Entire neighborhoods become battlegrounds. The sound of slogans mixes with the wails of sirens. News agencies report the first deaths, 4, then 8, then more. By nightfall, the death toll climbs into double digits. Mothers cry over the bodies of their sons, carried away by frantic crowds. Hospitals overflow with the wounded, doctors working without rest as blood stains the corridors. Across Nepal, the unrest spreads. From Pokhara to Biratnagar, the story repeats. Jobless youth march, police clash, and voices of rage echo through the valleys. This is no longer a protest. It is a nationwide revolt led by Generation Z, a generation that refuses to inherit silence. The ruling elite, long accustomed to power, scrambles for survival. Corruption scandals once whispered in hushed tones are now shouted from every rooftop. Hidden wealth, foreign bank accounts, bribes exchanged in back rooms, all of it becomes fuel for the rebellion. And amid the chaos, one truth becomes clear. This is not only about jobs or about social media or even about corruption alone. It is about dignity. It is about a generation demanding to be heard, demanding to be free. Night after night, the protests grow. Curfews fail. Internet blackouts crumble under the ingenuity of a tech-savvy youth. VPNs, encrypted apps, even handwritten leaflets. Nothing can stop the flow of anger. International eyes turn toward Nepal. Some governments urge restraint, others quietly watch, calculating their interests. But inside the country, the people no longer care about diplomacy. They care about survival and justice. In the smoke and the shouting, the unemployed man is no longer alone. He is part of a storm that shakes the nation to its core. And as he looks around, at the flags raised high, at the faces lit by fire and conviction, he knows this moment will mark history. Nepal is on the edge. The youth have risen. The government trembles. The future is uncertain. But one thing is undeniable. The silence has been broken, and it will never return.